Today on Hey, We're Talking, if Derek can stay awake for the entire episode, we're talking about bad beers.
The good, the bad, and the muddy.
I got nothing on that.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Hey, We're Talking. Derek, are you okay?
Yeah.
Does he look like he was kind of spaced out right there?
Yeah, I think he's got post-nasal drip.
Oh, I'm researching the Pico still.
He's looking at Pico still. All right. Sorry. You just looked like you were like, wow, man. It looked like you did some kind of drug or something.
I did not do
you have
drugs.
any Benadryl or something? Were you feeling sick?
No, I mean, I finished this
just
box
one
slider.
beer. That's not enough. You're at 0.02 or something.
Right.
Although, did you have anything else before that? You never know with Derek. He might have had a giant glass of scotch before we started.
Yeah,
No.
he could have whiskey sitting on the table behind him. You just don't know.
No, I had a cappuccino. You know this.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't know if you had scotch before the cappuccino.
Have you put like whiskey or anything in your cappuccino?
Ew.
Yeah, I think I've
That
made
sounds
one time
gross. Did it?
like an Irish coffee or something.
Yeah, like some Bailey's Irish cream or something.
Yeah,
I've had
that's
that
okay.
in coffee. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
No.
Technically, though, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't enhance the coffee, in my view.
Well,
Yeah.
if you're a fan of Bailey's Irish
I
cream,
do
it
like
does.
Bailey's Irish cream.
It's really just an excuse to put alcohol in your coffee at 9 a.m.
We were talking about, I can't believe I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to. We were talking about, when my parents were here, we were talking about my poor doggy, Bailey, who has gone on to doggy heaven. And the reason that I named him Bailey was his name is Bailey Jameson. So he was Bailey's Irish cream and Jameson Irish whiskey.
Derek, does your dog/dogs, I think you only have one dog, singular, right?
I have 4 dogs right now.
Wow.
Yeah, you
do they
missed
have-
this. One of his dogs ate his headphones, a new dog.
Wow.
Look, his red headphones are destroyed.
Oh my
Look at that.
goodness.
And just remember how much of a great deal he got on those. Those of you who
I
are
know.
listening, Derek has these
Huge.
amazing red headphones. They used to be what he used as a microphone.
Right.
When he had really bad audio and we'd give him trouble all the time, that was his microphone.
That's sad, dude.
If only that dog had lived with you. Oh my gosh, it's completely destroyed. I wish you had that dog like a year ago when we gave you a hard time about the audio.
I'm so sad about, but now part of me is sad because that was like, hey, we're talking like,
I know.
it's like an idol of the show, and
That thing was going to
Now
end up in the
it's gone.
Smithsonian, and now it's destroyed.
Yeah, it's going to have to go to like the National Broadcast Hall of Fame or something.
Yeah. What were you going to ask him about dogs? Is it because I have a middle name for my dogs?
yes, I was going to ask if your dog has a middle name.
No.
All my dogs do. It's my wife's thing, trust me. When she first asked me to give our dog a middle name, I was like, "What?" All our dogs have middle names.
Well, Daisy, they sometimes call her Daisy May, I guess.
I was about to say Daisy May. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Hilarious,
I mean,
right? Hilarious.
Yeah, I'm dying.
Yeah. Okay. So we've said enough about dogs, but Bailey Jameson, rest in peace. I told
Interesting.
Derek too. I kind of got teared up the other day because Cheryl was talking about him, and I was like, "I miss Bailey," because I do. He was a big old lug, and I loved him, and now he's not here.
Yeah, I'm going to go through that soon. We've talked about it on the show, but my dog,
Derek too, dude.
I know my dog. She's getting older. I've said on the show before she's got breast cancer and I mean just cancer in general. But one of the lumps that was on her
Derek's
breast.
kind of smirking as you're saying this.
I know.
No,
Why?
I'm thinking about Lucky because he.
Well, Lucky's
Kinda-
going downhill too, man. This
Well,
is not
one
good.
of my dog's bumps became a mass.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
But there's nothing you can do. I mean, like I'm not. My dog's 13, almost 13.
yeah.
You know, so it's just at this point, I mean, she's in no pain. I've touched it and just, made sure she's good.
Well,
I know it's hanging down.
I'm
It's all
feeling-
saggy.
Don't talk about it.
But,
Sad.
it is sad. And that's a reality I'm going to have to face, let's get through Christmas, last Christmas, all that stuff. And then,
dude,
I know,
don't say it.
I am going to be an absolute mess because that dog is, that's my pup, man. I go inside. She's all over me all the time. That's my dog. So it's going to be tough. And I'm sure you guys listening.
I can see you. Stop.
I'm sure you
Your
guys
wife would be
listening or
crying her face
watching,
off right now.
you guys have had a pet or something just like that. And that's it. And my wife did start crying the other day because I said, my kids and my wife were there. We're setting up the Christmas tree. And I'm like, you guys realize this is probably her last Christmas.
Why would you say that?
Because I'm a realist. I'm not going to act like she's going to live forever. And, of course, they all start crying and all that stuff.
Thanks, Dad. What a great Christmas gift.
Exactly. So, whatever. But, that's life. There we go.
Yep.
So,
The
way to bring the
Circle of
show
Life.
down,
If
Bob.
we can only sing that song or have Phil Collins.
The
Who sings it?
Circle of Life.
Isn't that
Elton John.
Elton John.
Yeah.
Phil Collins.
Phil
What the
Collins.
heck? It's a totally different circle of life if Phil Collins sang it. Okay, so both of you guys have dogs that are going to die. Thanks for letting us know about that.
Yeah, no problem. I know
my
you're
fault.
wanting that to happen.
No,
because,
I don't.
No, I know you want that to happen because you want us to feel the way you do.
No,
but
you guys
we're
aren't
going to
like
try
me.
to leave that be as long as we can.
Yeah. Okay. So as Derek is still looking at the Pico still, let's get into this episode. So today we're going to talk about the top five American beers and if we like them. I have a strange feeling that we're not going to like hardly any of them, but we'll see.
We're not. So the reality is, I've got the list here. We're probably not going to like them. But what I'd like to get out of this is, if we had to drink one of these 5 beers,
right?
I mean, I've got a list of 10, but if we had to drink one of these 5 beers, which one would be our go-to? Because the reality is, I'm a craft beer guy. I've got it here. That's all I drink is craft beer.
But
and
sometimes
spirit.
don't you just want? Listen, I still will say I have a cheap beer that I'll drink. I think there's still a place for some of these beers. So let's go through the list. I almost want to hear all of them, and then we can make a case for them. Or do you want to go one at a time?
Here's what I'm going to do. We always say top 5. We never stick to it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to rattle through the top 10.
Let's hear the top 10, and we'll make notes.
So what the top 10 is it's based upon basically the amount of beer
sales, right?
that is sold.
Yeah.
So it's millions of dollars or billions of dollars of beer sold. So
Are you
that's
going
really,
10 to 1?
I'm going to go 10 to 1.
Okay, let's hear them.
So 10, Keystone Light. 9, Miller High Life. 8, Gentleman Jim's favorite beer, Busch.
Oh.
Actually, wait, I think his is number 7, Busch Light.
Yes, it is.
Number 6, Natural Light. Number 5, Michelob Ultra Light. Number 4, Miller Light. Number 3, Budweiser. Number 2, Coors Light. Number 1, Bud Light, which is what my boss, that's all he drinks all the time.
Wow. Was Coors Light number 3, you said, or 2?
Number 2.
Number 2, and Miller High Life was 9?
Correct.
Okay. So that's me right off the bat. I would drink either one of those anytime, any day. I would, if I were, High Life is like that one that I kind of go to when I'm just like feeling like I want a cheap beer that I think is halfway decent. And I think High Life is pretty dang good. For what you spend on it, it's so cheap, dude. It's so cheap. You have nothing to say about that? Nobody has any bad words to say about
I don't even know if
High
I haven't had like all of those. Like I don't think I've ever had Busch or Keystone. I've had
You should
Coors
be
Light.
thankful that you have not had Busch or Keystone.
Here's the bottom line, and this will probably just kind of throw all that stuff into one pot. These macro brews, obviously all of these are made by huge corporations, and they're put out. They're fine if they're cold. That's the thing.
Yeah.
when they warm up, that's when they start to show their faults.
Yes.
Their off flavors start to go through.
Yeah.
But if they're ice cold, which that's how they market it, beer as cold as the Rockies.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you have to drink them cold, otherwise they're going to taste terrible.
So the thing about all these beers, in a sense, or mainstream macro beers. So, well, real quick, macro beers is basically a brewery or a beer that is produced in 6 million barrels 6 million barrels a year or more.
Okay.
So that's a macro brew. So that's the big boys, like everyone on the list that we just put out there. So the thing I don't like about it is like Miller Lite, or everybody says triple filtered and all this stuff. For those of you on the podcast, you can't see it, but anyone watching on YouTube, this beer I'm drinking is not filtered. It literally looks like orange juice. And I like that because that's all the flavor still in the beer. And when they filter all that stuff out, all the yeast, hops, malts, barley, all that stuff, to me, that's where you lose the beer.
Yeah. But it's cheap and it's plentiful. And that's part of the thing. It's like, it's cost effective. And, if you don't really care about all that stuff like that you're talking about, like having the yeast and all that kind of stuff, like being able to get into that stuff, it's so simple. And again, so cheap. Most of these people that are like going out to the bars and stuff all the time, that's why they drink Bud Light and stuff like that. Cause it's like half or less the price of these craft beers for sure. All day.
I mean, a Bud Light's $2.50 to $3, $3 a beer. Most craft beers are $5, $6, $7 and up. Yep. From there. So it is cheap. But the thing is, like this beer here, I don't know if it says the ABV on it. Okay, so this beer is 6.3% alcohol by volume.
Yeah. All these other ones are going to be like 3.5 or 5 or 4.
Most of these beers on this list are 4.2.
Yeah.
So for every 2 you have, you're almost equaling one of mine. So that, to me, that's a big difference.
True. But so on that list, though, I know Derek said some of them he hasn't had, but what one is there? Is there one or two on there, Bob, that you would drink?
If I did not have craft beer, or a place did not have any sort of craft beer, and it was nowhere near me, and let's say I go to a bar and this is the only option, these 10 beers, I'd probably do a Coors Light or a Buzz Light.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even... Miller, I can't do. So years ago, I don't even know how many years ago, the whole family went to a bowling alley for a birthday.
Yeah.
I don't even remember whose birthday at this time. And my brother's like, hey, man, I'll get some beer. All right, cool, So he goes to the bar, comes back with a pitcher of beer. I didn't even ask what it was. So I pour it. I take a swig of it, and I'm just like, oh, my gosh, what is this? And it wound up being Miller Lite. And I literally could not, I could not bring myself to drinking it.
Yeah, out of the two, Miller Lite and Bud Light, I think Bud Light has a better taste for sure. I mean, it's barely a taste, but it has a better taste than
Miller Lite. And like I said, my boss, he'll pound back those Bud Lights like it's nothing, man. He just...
It's like drinking carbonated water. I'm going to be real.
Right.
Coors Light is almost water.
They all are, because they take all the flavor out with the, filtering it. So, what about you, Derek?
I can just see you getting ready to just unleash on us. Tell us what you're thinking.
No, I agree. I mean, I'd probably just have a Coors Light or something.
What? Yeah. There's no other one that you would do?
I would like to try the High Life, like you said. I'd like something with more flavor in it. But the thing is like I said, a lot of these beers, they're brewed with rice and corn, all these different adjuncts. Yeah. Which cause them to have these off flavors, especially the warmer they get, when they're pretty cold, when they're 30 something degrees, ice cold, that's when they're at their flavor peak, because that pretty much masks all the off flavors that are there in there. So when I'm standing around on the back porch and someone's like, "Hey, man, let's have a beer," and they hand me a Budweiser or a Bud Light or a Miller Lite, it's fine.
You're just like, make sure it's really cold, dude.
Yeah, I drink it really quick and drink it cold, and it's fine. It tastes kind of like a beer.
Yeah.
Because
it's kind of a beer, sort of.
So can you guys think of a beer? It can be domestic. Well, let's say domestic. Can you think of some domestic beer that you have, mass-produced beer that you've had that it absolutely has turned you off and it's just awful?
Let's talk about it after the break. Fast, simple, and affordable. That's what registering your domain name with GoDaddy will be. Fast, simple, affordable. And if you listen to this show, Hey, We're Talking, you know you're getting a discount, 30% off if you go to trygodaddy.com/HWT. Again, 30% off. All you have to do is go to trygodaddy.com/HWT for 30% off your domain name and other business services provided by GoDaddy. Hey everybody, it's Scott from Hey, We're Talking. You've heard us talk about Gamefly.com before. The basics are this. They've got over 8,000 titles for every gaming platform you can think of, and they're giving you a 30-day free trial. That's right, 30-day free trial for you, the listeners of Hey, We're Talking. You want to play video games? You want to be a champ at video games? Go to gameflyoffer.com/HWT. That's gameflyoffer.com/HWT for your 30-day free trial. Hey, we're back, and we're going to talk about beers again. But, Bob, lead us into... I had to take a break, so I made it really awkward and was like, we'll talk about that after the break. What were you going to say? What was the actual lead into this?
So out of all the domestic beers you've had, not the craft stuff, the stuff that's common in all these regular liquor stores, all that stuff, what is the worst beer you think you've had out of all of them? Or what's that one that maybe it's not the worst, but that one you've drank it and you're just like, man, I can't do this one.
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Really?
Ooh.
I like Pabst. It's good. Are you serious?
I must have had a bad experience. I don't know. It must have been the time of day. I'd probably drink it fine just now, but my memory of trying Pabst Blue Ribbon, it was god awful. Worst beer experience.
I think the one that I've had, that's fine. You can say beer experience. The one I was going to say of like kind of a domestic thing is Milwaukee's Best. Was some of the worst crap I've ever had. I'd rank that with Busch. I'm always surprised when I hear how much, like you said, how much beer Busch sells. It blows my mind.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
It has like this weird taste to it, and I cannot put my finger on it, but it's bizarre.
So Busch and Busch Light. So Busch actually sold. This was 2016 statistics. Okay. 2017 ain't complete, so we don't have that yet. But 2016, Busch sold $622 million worth of beer.
Oh my gosh! Part of it is, I'm telling you, is because it is so cheap. That's the same thing with Milwaukee's Best. They're so cheap.
And then Busch Light sold $868 million worth of beer. And I bet you like 2.5 million of that was Gentleman Jim.
You know what's funny,
that's
too?
His stuff. I love the Busch Light at the deer lease.
Do you remember when they just went through this whole thing where all of them were like, whatever, ice, Busch Light ice, and all these things? I can remember, I was actually going to mention, I want you to do the beer that you don't like, because you just tell us yours first.
Well, mine is the one I always, every time I've had it, and sometimes I've just had to have it. You pop open the bottle and it always smells skunky. Like it always smells like a skunk.
I think I might know what it is. What is it?
And that was Heineken.
Yep. Always.
And I don't know why, but that's the beer, especially now I'm referring back mainly to a teenager. I'd go to a party.
A teenager?
Yeah, was a bad kid. And that's what people would have. And I'd crack that open and I'm just like, either this beer has been...
It's bad. It smells
It was cold and then warmed up and then cold again, or it's just this way. And as I became an adult, I'm like, no, it's this way. It's just a skunky, nasty beer.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just do a quick PSA here. if you are a teenager and you happen to hear this show, drinking as a teenager is not a good idea. Wait until you're
True.
of legal age. Wait till you're 21 and drink responsibly.
Or you're 18 and you're fighting for this country.
Yeah, if you're in another country, or if you live in like Michigan or on the border of Canada and you decide to go over to Canada and you're 19, you can have a beer.
No, or if you're in the military and you're man enough to fight for our country, you can have a beer at 18.
Yes.
That's not the law, but that's what I say.
No, he decided right now. Okay. So here's what I was going to...
Derek's like, no, don't encourage underage drinking.
Okay, here's what I would say.
I have enough.
I wanted to mention if you guys may have local beers, and I don't know if they're necessarily local because now they sell this beer even down here in South Carolina. But when I lived in Michigan, I loved Labatt Blue. That was my instead of slumming it, that was like craft beer to me before I knew what craft beer was. Actually, Killian's Irish Red was kind of that at one point. Do you remember that crap?
Drink. Yep.
I used to think that beer was so good, and now I'm just like, oh, nasty. But I loved Labatt Blue. Did you guys have that by you?
Yeah. I
It's a
didn't drink it
Midwest
as
thing.
I didn't drink it as a kid because at that time, I have to
It was
say
too
as a
classy,
kid because
right?
as a teenager I did bad things and we drank a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't drink it then because it was expensive.
Yeah.
When I could get, like Miller High Life or MGD or something like that for like at that time $6.99 a case.
Miller Genuine Draft. Oh my gosh, that's
And
a
when
major I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I used to love that stuff.
And then of course as teenagers we had Mad Dog 2020.
Of course.
Little Kings, grenades.
Did you guys do the
grenades
Genesee
were
cream?
little Mickeys is what that
Yes,
was.
Mickey's.
Yeah.
St. Ides. What about that?
No, St. Ides
You
wasn't
didn't do
readily
St.
available.
Ides?
No, I didn't. No, we just we went by volume. So it was like, so here's another flashback. We go. What's funny is it's the liquor store that I live by right this second.
They know
So
you. They're
as a
like, hey,
teenager,
it's Bob.
no, they don't. No, we would stand outside and go to adults and be like, hey, would you go buy
you
us some beer?
serious?
I'm
Would they
serious.
do
And
it?
they would do it all the time.
Oh my gosh.
So, and we'd let them keep whatever change was there. So, like, we'll give them a 10, and it's like, hey,
get us a
can you go
case.
get us beer?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. I'm like, come on, please just get us a case. What do you want? Get us a case of Red Dog.
Red Dog.
It's like $7.99.
Yeah.
You can keep all the change. And they're like, in that time,
You know what?
the change.
Just think about
they were
how
able to
funny
buy
that
a pack
is.
of smokes for themselves with that change. So they would do it all the time.
Oh my gosh, that's so sad. All you people who bought Bob beer when he was a kid, shame
Thank
on
you. No, thank you.
No, shame on you.
It contributed to who
To the
Bob
stories
is
that we're
today.
hearing today. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that was fun stuff. So here, let me go one.
Dog.
I know we're getting with Red Dog, they always said, if you turn the can upside down and you look at the dog, it looks like Batman doing this and that. Do you guys remember that?
No.
Somebody out there does. Oh, I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
How can I say it? That's
It's
politically
probably
correct.
dirty. Don't say it.
It is dirty. So if you turn the Red Dog logo upside
Why
down,
are you saying it?
it looks like Batman doing something to a female.
Wow.
That's all. Well, that's what it was.
Why would you say that?
So we're gonna pull this and change this whole thing real
Yeah.
quick. So if you guys can think of what's the worst beer you've ever had, not necessarily domestic, just in general.
Well, I
I've
know
got
what you're
mine.
going to say, and I can't say it, so I want you to say it because it's terrible.
Derek, do you have one? Is there a beer that you think, wow, that was the worst thing I've ever had?
Wild Blue.
What is Wild Blue? Where did you
I never
get that?
heard of it.
It's like a blueberry flavored beer.
No.
Oh, I have had. Oh well, yes, I have had that. Jenny, who listens to this show,
Jenny from the block.
she loves that beer. I believe it's the same beer, and she brought me one to try,
And
I tried it, and I'm like, this tastes like blueberry wine or something. It's not even beer. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that on her Instagram, which kind of got it going. But yeah, I tried it a few years ago, and it was like,
you know what it just
terrible.
made me think of though is I hate the Bud Light Lime and stuff like that. Those are disgusting.
Yeah, they've got like Bud Light with like, what is that stuff
It's
they
Clamato,
put in?
yeah, it's like a
Clamato
clam juice.
Yeah.
It's an ethnic thing. Like, we just don't get it because we're white dudes.
I think Phil Rivara actually drinks some of that with the Clamato juice.
That sounds so gross. Clam juice, dude. Clam juice, okay? In a beer.
Yeah, that's nasty.
They have them down here at the store, and they're like in those huge, like 22-ounce cans.
Right.
It looks so gross.
Like, is that a mixer or what?
No, it's beer with clam tomato juice.
That's
Clamato.
disgusting. That's nasty. Well, so I've got two of them, and
Okay.
one of them Scott will know, but the other one only people in Chicago will know.
Okay.
So I'll go with the Chicago one first. So there is a brewery here in Chicago that's I believe it's only distributed in Chicago, which is called Old Style.
It's bad?
It's called Old Style.
Right, but I've heard of it, and people talk about how much they drink Old Style, and it's bad?
It is absolutely terrible. I mean, it is a horrible, ratchet, nasty beer, but people somehow drink it. Now it's to the point to where it's like now it's to the point where it's like a one of those things a nostalgic thing.
Yeah.
Where, you know what, I'm just going to have one because that's what my grandpa drank.
Yes.
Or that's what my dad drank or something like that. That's the only reason people drink them anymore.
Now.
It's a terrible beer. But the most ultimate beer that I've had that I've absolutely hated, it's a beer by a company called Holy City Brewing.
Charleston, South Carolina.
They're out of Charleston, South Carolina.
And I gave it to you.
Scott gave it to me. And I'm going to read the description real quick, and then I'll tell you what it's called. So, according to the description on their website, it's a mixture of dirt and water indigenous to the marshes of South Carolina Low Country, with a distinct odor that's endearing to locals but off-putting to tourists and redcoats. And it is called Pluff Mud.
Oh, I remember watching
Every
this
single
episode.
one of us hated it. Kevin, Jimmy, me. It was just terrible.
So, Derek, I can describe it for you. You will actually understand what this beer tasted like. So, you being in the military, I'm sure there's been times where it's been raining and you've been, you guys had to go on a hike or something, or they made you crawl, under something, and you're on the ground and you're crawling, and somehow, some way that mud got up into your mouth and you're,
but it's
and
like
you're just
stale mud.
You're still just being a BA and crawling through there nonstop. That flavor that you had in your mouth when that mud came up, and there's guys urine in it from in their pants when they're crawling and all of that stuff. That's exactly what the beer tastes like.
Like a
grass.
Tasted like mud.
It actually tastes like the ocean a little bit, but like bad ocean water and sod.
So who liked this stuff?
I don't know.
People down in Charleston,
we
South
were just
Carolina,
trying to find like a new craft brew, and I was like, I'm going to get something from South Carolina. So I just got it. I'd never tried it before, and I was like, let's try this. And I sent it to the guys, and it was terrible. Just terrible.
That's probably the worst. I really thinking it's probably the worst beer I've ever had in my life. I mean, that's one that stuck with me. I'll always remember the name, and maybe it's because I don't live in Charleston, South Carolina.
Pluff Mud.
That was
bad.
nasty.
It's bad. Derek, bring us home. What's your worst experience? Oh, you said yours already. Something. Blue
Wild
Wave
Blue.
or Blue Wild Yonder or something. Wild Blue.
Wild Blue.
Wild Blue. Wild Blue. You're my boy,
Blue. I really don't like fruit flavored beers. They're just not
my favorite.
They don't go.
Although I'll tell you one that Derek told me about early on when I first started talking to him, and I still like it to this day, is Founder's Breakfast Stout. It's all Derek.
I actually just recommended that to a guy, Pete, that I work with. He's kind of an older gentleman, and he knows I'm into craft beer. And before he was on vacation, right before Thanksgiving, he walked to my office, and he's like, "Hey, I'm on vacation. Got any beer recommendations?" and that was the one I said. I said, yeah, it'd be great for the holiday. Go get some Founder's Breakfast Stout. You'll be good.
Did he tell you
Derek
if
Ted
you
would
liked
be
it?
so excited right now.
He came back. He said it's awesome. He can only drink one. It's more like a dessert beer, all that stuff, which is true. It's a very heavy, kind of sweet beer, but I mean that one's really, it's a really, really good beer. One of my favorites. So I do have one more if we have time for it. Scott, a bad beer.
Yep, this is the last one. Do it.
I'll make it super quick. So one of my favorite breweries out there is Dogfish Head.
Yeah.
So Dogfish had I believe, I want to say 10-year anniversary beer, or maybe I thought it was 25 or something.
Yeah.
It's a beer called Higher Math.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be like, hey, this is our anniversary beer, special beer, all this stuff. And it was like, for a regular 12-ounce bottle, it was like $13 or $14 for one bottle. So we got our hands on it, and it literally tasted like you were drinking cherry cough syrup.
Yeah.
I mean, it was absolutely terrible. And I love their brewery. They've got some amazing beers that I buy and enjoy, but that one beer, for whatever reason, it was absolutely terrible. I don't know why. I don't know how they thought it was good, but I guess they sold a whole bunch of it.
They did, but it was not good. We all had it, and it was not great. We did that one on the show, and it was it was not good. Not at all.
No, not at all.
All right, so once again, we've come to the end of a show. We've talked about beer, which everybody likes on this show. We do. We enjoy a good beer. Sometimes we even enjoy a bad beer. Thanks for listening. Derek, I appreciate you, man.
Hey, I'm glad.
All right.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Bob, you want to say anything nice about Derek?
And the viewers.
Say something nice about Derek. I appreciate you too, but say something nice about
No,
Derek.
you didn't say that, so don't. Derek, you appreciate me?
Yeah.
That's nice, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you appreciate me. That's nice, man. Thank you so much. I like your hair. I think you're a nice guy. You're a friend. So thank you.
It's a fun bit, but now it's over.
Scott, end the show!